I call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. If you're able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A roll call, please.
Johnson.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
Mikulski.
Here.
Sabatini.
Here.
Leaks May.
Here. Approval of the agenda.
Madam Mayor, I move we approve the agenda with one edit. I move that item 4B be moved to become item 4A and 4A become item 4B, swapping the presentation recognizing police department promotions with the 2025 Planning Commission annual report so that the police promotions can go first.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And we will start with our presentations. Presentation recognizing the police department promotions.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's an honor to be here today. It's exciting to present to the city and to council these three fine supervisors. Without any further waiting, I'd like to ask Officer Stephen Rowe, now Sergeant Stephen Rowe, to come forward. Officer Rowe has been with the Ferndale Police Department for 5 years. He has served as a field training officer and evidence technician. Stephen is a Ferndale native and a graduate of Berkeley High School. He earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and political science from Western Michigan University in 2020. He was named Officer of the Year in 2024. Lieutenant Austin Bishop, could you come forward, please? Lieutenant Bishop began his career as an auxiliary officer in 2014 and was hired as a full-time police officer in 2016. He is a United States Air Force veteran and holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Oakland University. He is also a graduate of the Northwestern School of Police Staff and Command. During his career, Austin has served as a detective with the Oakland County Narcotics Enforcement Teams, a DEA task force officer, a SWAT operator and sniper with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. He's also a firearms instructor and a member of our Response to Resistance team. Captain Dan Cousdale, please come forward. Captain Cousdale began his career with the Ferndale Police Department in 2007. He holds a bachelor's degree in sociology from Oakland University. He is also a graduate of the Northwestern School of Police Staff and Command. Throughout his career, Dan has served as a field training officer, member of the Honor Guard. He was a SWAT operator. He is a firearms instructor. He was a detective with the Oakland County Narcotics Enforcement Teams. He's a member of our Response to Resistance team. He served as a detective lieutenant prior to his promotion to captain. It's been a pleasure watching these three officers develop over their career. They all lead by example and are fine examples to the people that serve underneath them. People talk about promotions and they think about things like raises and authority, and so maybe sometimes the people underneath them think their job gets easier when they get promoted. It does not. It gets much more harder and difficult. Not only are they working for the people above them, they're serving the people underneath them. Coach Kirby Smart said there's a cost of leadership. One, you will have to make hard decisions that negatively affect the people you care about. Two, you will be disliked despite your best attempts to do what's best for the most. And three, you will be misunderstood and won't always have the opportunity to defend yourselves. But that's the cost and that's what you signed up for. I have the utmost respect for your courage and your commitment to the responsibility that you now stepped into. Having said that, I want to congratulate them, and I want to ask their family members and their loved ones to come forward now and pin their badges. I think a hug's appropriate. Here we go. Congratulations, gentlemen, and thank you.
That's good. All right. It's a good start. All right, so now we're going on to presentation item 4B, the 2025 Planning Commission Annual Report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If I could figure out how to exit out of this and get the PowerPoint. That's what I was hitting.
We all went for escape.
Just minimize. Thank you. Tonight, we will have Chairwoman Foster present on the annual report to you all, which is essentially a summary of what the Planning Commission does, who we are, and all the projects that we completed in 2025. So, without further ado, Michelle Foster.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As Ross said, I'm Michelle Foster, Chair of the Planning Commission. I'm here to report on 2025 activities of the Planning Commission. We do this not only because it's a requirement of the state and city and the Redevelopment Ready Community Program, but because it creates transparency and communication. It's a really great feedback loop between the City Council and our Commission. Although we do have another feedback loop, and that's that we have a city liaison on our council. We've just welcomed a new one, Mayor Pro Tem Mikulski, recently this year after Councilman Polika left us, after I think over 8 years of service to the Planning Commission. But for those of you who are not aware, the Planning Commission is dedicated to ensuring the health, safety, and welfare of Ferndale through the process of reviewing site plans, special land uses, planned unit developments, or PUDs, and rezonings. We're also tasked with the review, drafting, and recommendation of the master land use plan and amending the zoning ordinance. We meet the third Thursday of each month at 6:30 p.m. I will say we meet as needed, so it's not quite every month. And community members are always welcomed. You're welcome to join either in person or our meetings are recorded and streamed live. You can find the information for that on the city website. And for those who would like a little bit more information on exactly what a planning commission does and the powers that we have, we did do a presentation at our planning commission last month, which was recorded and available for everyone. You can find that through links on the city website. So first, what we're looking at here is a chart that you have received in your packet, a full chart of the master plan, the Plan Ferndale action items. Those can be found in Plan Ferndale on pages 150 through 165 and have been updated in terms of the status of each of those. And so this is just a subsection of those obviously very long 15 pages of action items. So for example, you can see item 213, the top one there, is from and related to the chapter from the master plan on people with a goal that reflects livability, the action being to develop an accessibility housing renovations pattern book. That's related to our housing action plan, CIHAP, and I always forget the name of the acronym, but that is a housing action plan through the city. And you can see the status is not started. So we do review these regularly to make sure that we're addressing these action items as need be and in due time. The master plan was most recently adopted in 2022, and so you'll probably hear more about that. So next year would be 5 years from the adoption, and we are tasked with reviewing that every 5 years and seeing if there's any edits to be made. So we'll probably start peeking at it this year in preparation for that process. So the Planning Commission, as I said, is tasked with reviewing site plans, but we're also do often have discussion items at our meeting. And so this is when a developer would like to come to us with a project that they're thinking about and want to discuss it with the Planning Commission. Oftentimes they take feedback from us then to incorporate that into their proposals and applications. We don't take any action on those, but it's a good opportunity for community members and developers to have a discussion with us first. We do have final approval on site plan reviews, those that come to the city, to the Planning Commission. And then for special land use, rezoning, and plan unit developments, as well as zoning amendments, those are reviewed through the Planning Commission, and we provide a recommendation to the City Council, who has the final approval authority. The Planning Commission also has authority to waive certain zoning requirements, such as the parking and loading requirements, landscaping requirements, building material deviations, and general architectural standards. There are specific criteria for each of those. So say we're looking at a project, and the project has some restrictions on the site, and so they want to make some landscaping amendments from what is strictly required by the zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission may have the ability to waive some of those requirements if they meet specific criteria, and all of that is detailed through the zoning ordinance. Projects that don't require a Planning Commission or City Council approval include small-scale businesses reoccupying vacant storefronts, residential construction including 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, 4 unit, and ADUs. That also includes fences, sheds, and garages, minor site plan amendments, and modifications for ADA improvements. So those would all be reviewed and approved through city staff rather than the Planning Commission or City Council. The Planning Commission only approves projects that align with the master plan, follow the zoning ordinance, and are harmonious with our surrounding uses. So for example, we reviewed 1401 Faro, which is a requested special land use review and site plan application for a McDermott site that was reviewed for 2 expansions of an existing warehouse. That was approved unanimously for the site plan with conditions, and the special land use was recommended and finally ultimately approved at the City Council after review. Our zoning ordinance had a major overhaul that was, I think, ultimately approved at the end of 2024, so just over a year ago. And after that major overhaul, we had the need for a couple cleanups. Those were under review last year, and a couple amendments were reviewed and approved unanimously by the Planning Commission, including regarding lighting, outdoor dining, and definitions for uses, and those were approved by City Council. Another project we reviewed was 22230 Woodward Avenue, a requested special land use review and site plan application for El Car Wash. This was a project that included demolition of a vacant restaurant and construction of car wash, office space, and enclosed vacuuming area. The Planning Commission reviewed this multiple times, had multiple discussions. We had a lot of great feedback from our residents, and ultimately the Planning Commission recommended denial of the special land use, and we postponed any action on the site plan application until further notice. Next, we have 660 East 10 Mile Road, a conditional rezoning and site plan approval application for Iron Ridge. This conditional rezoning is a request from I-1 to MXD1. The project included renovation of a vacant structure into a full-service restaurant with outdoor seating. After review, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the conditional rezoning and approved the site plan unanimously, and the City Council reviewed and approved the conditional rezoning. So moving towards 2026, we have multiple goals, including continuing to monitor the implementation of the new zoning ordinance and continuing any cleanup as need. Review and adoption of bylaws for it to be in line with the Redevelopment Readies program, to host a joint meeting with City Council and potentially other commissions, to evaluate and continually implement the planned Ferndale action items, and to host educational forums surrounding housing policies and incentives. This is something that we've talked about a lot with the national housing crisis. We thought that this would be a great opportunity to build off of some of the zoning amendment changes that we made and to talk more about housing policies and incentives. So with that, I would welcome any questions, and thank you for your time this evening.
Happening there. We're moving on to items 4C of the presentations, and this presentation is for the planned DNR grant applications for 2026.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So, as we do every year, Parks and Recreation is planning on applying for a series of grants that are offered by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. For those unfamiliar, they typically offer 3 grant funding pools that we apply to each year, those being the Natural Resources Trust Fund, the Land and Water Conservation Fund, and the Recreation Passport. The grants are very competitive, require a point system, and require a lot of input on the part of staff to be able to put forth these applications. So we just wanted to make sure that we ran it by council before we actually submitted any of them. For this time around, we are targeting Lennon Park. We're doing this for a few key reasons. One is the continuation of accessibility improvements for our park system. Throughout the past 5 or so years, we've made significant headway in our park system to be able to install walking paths and install ADA accessible equipment to make sure that the park system is accessible for as many people as possible. This would be a continuation of that effort, Lennon Park being one of the next major parks that hasn't received any of that type of development thus far. Another key factor is the aging and poorly functioning equipment. As you can see in the pictures, the parks lack any accessible features. The basketball court has cracks and uneven surfacing that make it difficult to play on. The playground has rusting and semi-broken equipment that can present a danger for anyone that is using it. And the park benches out there you can see are lopsided. Overall, the park really just needs a facelift. And the third reason that we're targeting Lennon Park for this project is the use of its anticipated use in our summer day camp program. For those unaware, the program this year is going to be split into 2 different areas. It'll be taking place at Webb Elementary School and Edison School. Edison School abuts Lennon Park, so Lennon Park will be a key feature of making sure that the younger group, which will be the 5 through 7-year-olds, get the opportunity to have equitable access to play equipment. The scope of this project includes the demo of outdated play equipment, the installation of new play equipment, which will include ADA accessible features, the installation of a walking path, which will be universally accessible, the repaving and renovation of the basketball court, some landscaping work, and some additional ancillary amenities, which will include park benches, drinking fountains, and trash and recycling bins. If you want to look at the site plan, this is the proposed walkway of the walking path, which will connect the key features that include the playground and the existing drinking fountain. The playground that's in this area will be demoed and replaced, as I said, with new equipment, as well as the swing set that's over here. We are proposing 2 new benches with companion seating, as well as some trash and recycling bins. And then up here is the basketball court. It's not listed on here, but we are adding as a scope item that it will be repaved completely, and it will be renovated with new benches and new baskets, basketball equipment, like the actual rims and everything. Whoop. So for this particular project, we are targeting 2 grant sources from the DNR, those being the Land and Water Conservation Fund and the Trust Fund grant. Each grant requires a specific match. The Land and Water Conservation Fund requires a hard 50% match in order to apply for it. The Trust Fund requires a minimum of 26%, but we typically apply for 50% in order to get the full points and make sure that our grant is competitive as possible. These are reimbursement grants in which the city must front the money in order to be reimbursed along the way as the project continues. And a portion of the city's match requirement can be made up through other grant sources. It can be made up through in-kind work that is done from DPW, and it can be made up through any volunteer work that is completed. Looking at the timeline, the grants are due on April 1st, and in September, there will be an initial score and early withdrawal period, so we'll have until, if we decide to move forward with these grants, and then somewhere along the process, we determine that it's not feasible for us to actually complete the project, we have until September of this year in order to back out of the project. The grant awards will be announced in December of this year. And the grant is typically executed as soon as May of next year, with an anticipated construction schedule beginning in the summer of 2027. That is a little bit of an aggressive timeline. Typically, when we have these projects, we book them out for 2 years out as opposed to 1 year out. So there is no action that is required at all tonight. What will happen at the next council meeting is you will be asked to support a series of resolutions that will be required in order to submit the application for the project. And that is all that I have. I'm open for any questions if you have any. Cool.
Yeah, through the chair. Thank you. Great presentation. I was wondering, do you have an estimate of the cost associated with finishing these grant applications? Or are we, or no, if we.
Do you mean the application itself?
The
or-
applications themselves, yeah. I've got a follow-up question. I'm trying to, so we are, correct me if I'm wrong, 5 years into a 5-year parks master plan?
Yeah.
Do we have a timeline on when a new plan will be drafted or considered?
Oh, that should be coming in the next year or so at
Next
minimum.
year or so?
Yeah,
Okay, so
because-
well after the deadline for the,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
these
For
applications?
this round in particular, because the 5-year master plan is required in order to apply for any of these grants. So we will need to
Okay,
create a new one if we want to move forward with any grant applications in the future.
okay. I guess, so do you have an estimate, whether it's in-kind or actual general fund dollars, that would go towards matching these grants? Rough estimate?
I don't at this time, because the process that we typically follow is we seek the DNR grant first because it makes up the bulk of the funds available for these projects, and then we seek alternate grants and in-kind services after the fact in order to help make up for the general matches. So typically, that has come from Oakland County, that has come from America in Bloom, that has come from various different sources that we've applied for to fund the previous projects that we've done over the years.
Okay, and so I guess I'm just trying to get my head around what the city's cost would be. Since we just had our strategic planning meeting and we're talking about fiscal year budget 2027, we've yet to have that meeting as a council. Tough to make the decision now prior to that, right? And then having an understanding of the parks plan going forward. So is there any costs associated with moving forward with the applications at this time, which gives us time to get more information on?
The only
Cost.
cost that's associated with the application itself would be the staff time that Lorena and I put in to actually put together the application materials. There's not typically anything else that would go into it at this time. And then there's nothing that's required tonight. So like you have time to, we have time to get you more information that you will require and make a decision, because it's going to be the next council meeting that's the important one for getting the resolutions approved and the backing from you guys to actually submit the application.
Okay, great, thank you.
Sure thing.
Okay. The questions? He walked away kind of quick, but, all right. All right. So now we're moving on to call to audience. This is the portion of the agenda where you can come to the podium. And you can speak on anything on or off the agenda. I just want to place emphasis on the fact that you have 3 minutes to state what you need to state. And remember our discourse with dignity, because there are individuals who are coming up to the podium for the first time, and we want them to be comfortable speaking here in our council chambers. So I open up call to audience at 7:25 PM.
Hello.
Oh.
Good evening. Hi, Jess Newman, 364 East Woodland Street. Here once again on behalf of the school board. How are you folks? Hope you're well this evening. So, sorry, I get a little nervous too. So I just wanted to give some updates from the district. So we held our State of the District on March 4th. It was themed around the table, and it brought together families, staff, students, community partners, elected officials to reflect on the district's progress and discuss priorities moving forward. For those who weren't there, I myself was in Florida, and I plan to catch up. The recording and the presentation will be shared soon on the district website, and I look forward to viewing it myself. We are also here to celebrate some success in our athletics program. So we're proud to share that our high school boys team was recently crowned district champions. I think that deserves a round of applause. This reflects the dedication of our student athletes, our coaches, and our supporters, and highlights the strong spirit within the Ferndale Public Schools community. And just some upcoming arts and culture dates, so folks can put them on their calendar. I know the mayor's looking forward to at least a few of these with the musical coming up. So our performing arts students at Ferndale High School are preparing for their production of The Wizard of Oz, and the performance dates are Saturday, March 14th at 7:30 p.m., Sunday, March 15th at 3 p.m., Friday, March 20th at 7:30 p.m., Saturday, March 21st at 7:30 p.m., Sunday, March 22nd at 3 p.m., and I promise this is also online if you did not catch that. And you can buy tickets at On the Stage online. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to myself or Kelly Conlon. And just wanted to also update, I only have a minute left, the high school bus loop on March 9th, so today, I believe. The Ferndale High School bus loop will be closed for the remainder of the school year to allow for construction tied into our 2020 bond improvements, including the new Performing Arts Center, which I'm really excited about. There will be student and drop-off and pickup temporarily moved to a designated location in the student parking lot with a one-way traffic pattern to help maintain safe traffic flow. And we're coordinating with local officials to make sure everyone is safe during arrival and dismissal and support that transition. And there is more information available online. And with the last 30 seconds, something really important. We just passed an enhanced school built millage. So there will be a millage on the ballot in August. So we are going to be asking folks in our community to provide local funding, additional funding to support our students. We're one of the only school districts that, counties that does not have an enhanced millage. It would provide $3 million for the district to support things like recruiting and retaining high quality teachers, academic programming and student support, school safety initiatives, and student opportunities in arts and culture. So more information can be found on the school district website, and I'm out of time. Thank you.
So, Jess, I just wanted to
Yes.
say that I think that if you can just kind of share with me exactly when you plan to be here, I'd like to put you on the presentation so that
Okay.
you're not doing that.
I was told to come to public comment. I'm going to be coming the first of every month, or the first meeting I can come to that doesn't conflict with the school board meetings.
Got it. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you, guys. Sorry.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Larissa Richardson. I serve as the new Director of Regional Partnerships under the Honorable Mayor Sheffield, and I am here to extend greetings and, a warm invitation to work together on any regional priorities that, align with both of our communities. And I wanted to come in person to provide introduction and, look forward to the opportunity to work in partnership with you all on any shared, again, regional priorities that might align with both of our communities. So thank you so much for, allowing the time for me to speak, and again, looking forward to working with you guys moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and friends of Ferndale. On behalf of the DDA, I am up here early this evening to talk and actually invite you to a community input session for wayfinding that's going to be held this Wednesday, 6 p.m. at Affirmations. Wayfinding is important to the community. It's more than just signs and arrows. It's how people will interact with our downtown, how they interact with Ferndale. So in 2025, the Ferndale DDA kicked off an initiative with Merge. It's a nationally recognized design firm that specializes in community wayfinding. And they're going to be visiting us again in person this week to present some findings they had from their discovery back at the end of 2025 and showcase some draft designs that we'd like input on from the community so we can move forward those in the future. So if you can join us this Wednesday, 6 p.m. at Affirmations, that's 290 West 9 Mile Road. There's going to be a presentation followed by some discussion, and there will be a survey for input afterward. If you're unable to make it in person, it will be recorded and distributed. So you can find out more information about this and other exciting activities in the month of March by visiting artmarchferndale.com. We have a number of activities happening throughout the month, so please join us for this one and others as you're available. I'm also here tonight in conjunction with CED to talk about the Match on Main program through MEDC. As a redevelopment ready certified community and also select level Main Street status, we are eligible as Ferndale to submit 2 applications on behalf of businesses. Match on Main is geared towards businesses with shovel-ready projects that can be completed within 12 months. So these can include things like technical assistance with design services, interior building renovations, outdoor space activation, even inventory, marketing technology, and new equipment investment. It cannot include things that are general repair, but any kind of renovation, if you're really changing the space, making it more inviting, especially public driven, that is very much in line with what the program seeks to do. It has a max of $25,000, and there is a 10% match required by the business. So if it's $25,000, that would be $2,500 for the business. If you are interested with a project like this, please let us know. We have a website form open right now. I will share the link afterward, but it is ferndalemI.seamlessdocs.com/F/2026 Match on Main. We will make sure this is out in the community for follow-up. This is the first time, but we wanted to make sure you hear it tonight and let as many people know. We have had 2 award winners in the past 5 years. It is a highly competitive state grant, but we have had success, and we seek to keep having success. We've also considered projects that weren't eligible for this grant, but been able to match them with more than $10,000 in other funding. So if you have a project that you think might qualify or you're interested in talking to us, let us know. You can contact the DDA at info@downtownferndale.com. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Angela Lepard. I live on East Breckenridge in Ferndale. I'm also a pastor at MCC Detroit. MCC Detroit currently gathers at Affirmations, but we're in mid-purchasing the church building at 9 and Pinecrest. As a resident and as a pastor, it is important that Ferndale reflects the values we say our city claims. I support an ordinance that protects our neighbors and family members from ICE, and I thank you for the work that's been done so far with the ordinance. I do think the ordinance should include stiff penalties for those that do not follow the ordinance, and the ordinance should spell out specifics, including forbidding officers to ask a person's immigration status, a question racist at its core, because I do not see that question being asked of white immigrants or white people in general. In this country, we have systems built on white supremacy, where terrorizing people of color is at the foundation of its entity's existence, and ICE is an example. ICE is arresting indigenous people across the U.S., people with tribal memberships and certificates of Indian blood. ICE has kidnapped U.S. residents, neglected people that were medically vulnerable, raided an apartment in Chicago filled with families, arrested children, killed people in detention centers, and openly killed people in the streets. Closer to home, I have friends that will not leave their house without their passports. I have a family member that was born here that has an immigration lawyer on speed dial. Advocates and faith leaders are fighting plans for an ICE admin office in Southfield and a detention center in Romulus. Only if we have privilege and homogenous circles of friends can we pretend that we will not be impacted. Silence is complicity, and our community only gains in taking a stance against ICE. We have every reason to ensure our Black and brown residents feel safe to get food, safe to report abuse, and have their basic rights protected without fear of disappearing. Please support an ordinance to protect residents from ICE, and please let this be the first of many steps to address state-sanctioned violence. My faith tradition tells me that faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by actions, is dead. Our Black and brown family members deserve to be heard and for us to take steps beyond performative actions and resolutions. I thank you for your time, and again, I thank you for the work that's been done so far.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name's Frank Castronova. I live at 430 West Troy. I introduce myself tonight as the fairly new president of the Ferndale Memorial Association. As you know, Ferndale is proud to host the longest consecutively held Memorial Day observance in the state of Michigan. This will be our 108th year. I look forward to seeing you all there. You'll get formal invitations before too long, but I'm looking forward to working with a great group of volunteers and people in many city departments who've been helpful so far, and will no doubt do some great work to put on a very fun parade and a meaningful memorial service. That'll be Monday, May 25th, largely on Pinecrest and 9 Mile in Livernois, and also at the Memorial Mall in Livernois by the firehouse. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Kat Latash, 715 West Breckenridge. You know, I can't really say anything better than how Angela Pard just said it. I mean, those remarks were really powerful, and I would co-sign everything she says. What I really came here to say tonight, though, was, you know, Ferndale has had a long history of being a leader in South Oakland on a lot of issues. And I was so appreciative that this ordinance was drafted to protect community members. I don't think a lot of cities have them in place yet, so it's another place where Ferndale can be a leader on this and where it's needed. It's a time for courage and a time to step up, and this is a place where Ferndale can do that. So based on all the reasons that Ms. Lepard just mentioned, and thank you for all of you who worked on the ordinance. I am eternally optimistic on this. Thank you.
Good evening, Paul Colum, East Breckenridge Street. I'm here to express my support for an immigration ordinance, but I'm also here to ask to make this ordinance stronger. Whether some people like it or not, we have not signed a 287G, so therefore, this police department does not have the authority to enforce immigration law. That is a good thing. As evidence bears out, that when local authorities act like ICE and Border Patrol, civil rights violations are almost inevitable. Some reporting has shown that up to 75% of stops which Border Patrol responds to in a local scene of a stop, constitutional problems occurred. A couple of examples are illegal searches and seizures and severely extended stop times. In the case of Rodriguez versus the United States, the Supreme Court basically defined an extended delay in stop time is unconstitutional. Some routine stops in other areas have lasted as long as 3 hours. This ordinance can be made stronger by adding such items like prohibiting an officer from asking a person's immigration status during a routine stop. This also applies for witnesses to crime scenes. We can say that these incidents are rare and infrequent. If that is so, then there's no harm in putting it in the ordinance. Local police should recognize that it is in their own self-interest to stay away from immigration enforcement. The collaboration of police and Border Patrol profoundly undermine local communities' trust in law enforcement, making everyone less safe. In a lawsuit that includes ICE, the police department, and the city, ICE will walk away clean while we will pay the result. By making this ordinance as strong as possible, we will be actually saving money and saving the city harm and damage by limiting exposure to civil rights lawsuits and costs related to local defense and payouts. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Chris McLonis. I live at 634 East Marshall Street, just east of Hilton Road. And I'm always very happy not to be the very first person up in this period of time because so many other people bring up things that don't occur to me. And so many good, important arguments have been raised already about the immigration enforcement, how it needs to be strengthened, this ordinance. And the temporary moratorium on immigration detention centers, I hope that becomes a permanent one. Thank you very much, Councilman Sabatini, for writing that. We have to remember the truly inhumane treatment that detainees are experiencing. It's already been mentioned how many have been killed, many have been disappeared. Maybe a lot of them have been enslaved. That seems to be the trend these days. And the buildings that ICE is buying and renting in order to warehouse these detainees. I mean, they're literally warehouses. They were never meant for human beings to live in, let alone comfortably. And Ferndale is one city I would not want to see becoming complicit in that. So many other cities already have refused to allow detention centers to come up in their cities, and I hope that we continue to do the same. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chris Gilmer Hill. I'm a Detroit resident on Lowell Drive, and I'm a candidate for our shared state house seat in District 8. I'm also here to speak in support of the two resolutions that are on the agenda, both the temporary moratorium on detention centers and the immigration enforcement ordinance. I would sincerely thank this council, and in particular Council Members Sabatini and Kelly, for bringing these. I believe this is vitally important. I know we would all like to see real justice and real change. I know that'll have to happen at the state and federal level. And in the interim, it is vitally important that places like Ferndale take an immediate and urgent stand at the local level to assert the basic tenet of American democracy. We get to decide what happens in our communities. We cannot allow what's happening at the federal level across this country to be normalized in even the slightest. We know that what's happening is inhumane, is evil, and I believe it's vitally important that Ferndale take a stand and say this will not happen here. In that light, I'd like to also share some context from Detroit. I fully echo what's been said before. I believe that these ordinances can be made even stronger, and I'd also endorse the recommendations that were given by previous commenters. I'd also like to recommend that these ordinances explicitly outline violation of the policies you're outlining as a fireable offense within the police department. I bring that up because of what happened in Detroit, where we did enact a policy, not the strongest policy, but a pretty clear policy that Detroit police officers are not to collaborate with ICE. And in spite of that, we had on at least 2 occasions officers decide they didn't like somebody that they were pulling over, decide that their English wasn't good enough, decide they didn't like the color of their skin, who knows, and just call Border Patrol anyways. And we saw in the aftermath of that, even though the leadership of our police department initially was pressured into saying those officers would be fired, they were able to backtrack. They went back on what they said. They ended up not firing those officers because their policy wasn't clear enough, because of pressure from the state government, because of threats to funding. I believe that Ferndale is going to have to show a lot of courage in enforcing these ordinances. I believe that there will inevitably be threats to things that we all really care about, and that we're going to have to stand up as a community to those threats. I also believe that outlining that violation of these ordinances is a fireable offense is critically important. We need to go into this as strongly legally armed as possible, and I believe that outlining the exact consequences for ignoring the democratic will of this community That should be critical. That needs to happen. Again, I thank this entire council for considering this. This is a vitally important issue, and I believe urgent action is absolutely necessary. Thank you.
Hello, Council. My name is Simon Cohen. I live on Marshall, near the high school. I am here to speak in favor of the detention center moratorium. I echo previous comments. I think it should be permanent. I'd like to see it expanded. I would like to see not just detention centers blocked, but all ICE buildings. Southfield seeing like an office building. I don't want to be the center for their like procedural stuff. I also would like to see us pull our mutual aid agreements and all supporting resources from cities that are complicit. I think we need to start exerting pressure that we can as a city. I'm also here in support of the ordinance. I think it's awesome to come up here and be proud of the work that you guys are doing. A couple comments. I think in section 208, there's a comment about how in emergency circumstances or exigent circumstances, which we saw in the surveillance ordinance, that the officer on the scene can make the call whether it's an emergency circumstance or not, and then participate in civil immigration enforcement. I think that's kind of ludicrous. In what possible emergency circumstance could you need to participate in civil immigration enforcement? I mean, I think it boggles comprehension. In section 211, there's a talk about how the ordinance is not meant to go against any of the collective bargaining agreements. I think that's nice in theory. In practice, collective bargaining agreements have to be, have to follow the law. The law does not have to be built around collective bargaining agreements. We shouldn't be scared of making this as strong as we want. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys can cook up going forwards. Thank you all.
Good evening, Sherry Wells, 315 West Troy. I find it interesting that this country can find money for detention centers. The current one in mind is 8,500 immigrants. When we can't manage to shelter our citizens and residents, and 17,000 to 46,500 die annually being homeless, if we're really trying to protect our country and the people in our country, that's where housing money should go, and not to people whose civil rights have not been allowed to them. There's money, it's just going in all the wrong places, and I appreciate that the idea of speaking up against the detention centers is one of the things Ferndale's doing. Thank you all.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Leaks May and Honorable Council. Please forgive me, the weather is beautiful, but my allergies are bothering me today. I live at 16857 Inverness Street in Detroit, a daughter of Detroit, but I always say a cousin of Ferndale. And I know that I just want to echo a lot of the sentiments that has been said here tonight about how we really need to buckle down and be with one another in these times. I know that we are different cities, but we are a shared family, and I fully support the ordinance that, we are hoping to fully get passed, because, again, I really believe that it's important that we lean on one another during these scary and stressful times. And I know that it's a politically divisive times as well, but again, it's going to take us to band together. And so I just wanted to thank you and say that.
Good evening. My name is Prasad Venugopal, 1425 West Troy Street. Sorry I came in late, so I'm going to repeat things that people have said, which is probably good in some ways, emphasizing a little bit more. Thank you to Councilwoman Rolanda Kelly for the work that she has done on this, and I know a number of you others were involved in it, but I just particularly want to give that special thanks because you were the first one to start working on this particular ordinance this way. And so that's a personal thanks from me. And I'm grateful for the resolution that is also on the table. 3 minutes is not enough to speak about anything, but so I'll only focus myself on that ordinance. And I just particularly want to talk about the two issues. One is the exigent circumstances that has already been mentioned. We talked about this during the SIOGS ordinance discussion, that that needs to be strengthened. There is actually language on that. I was reading Peyton versus New York, but it led me to a number of other places that discuss this. And so I'll provide this later, but I'll just read this one piece. It says, exigent circumstances shall mean a situation involving an imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury unrelated to civil immigration enforcement. And I think that along with that, two other pieces, any use of city resources pursuant to the subsection must be approved by a supervisory official and documented in writing within 48 hours. I know that makes it hard and makes it tough, but I also think it makes it something that everybody is held accountable to in case of exigent circumstances. So I'm just providing that as language that I think would be useful to strengthen that section. The other section I want to talk about, Simon also spoke about this just before me, and that is the idea of enforcement. I'm not going to go into the sort of the language of it, but I think we want to be careful about the idea that residents of Ferndale, as well as council members themselves, are required to follow all city ordinances. Yet this language almost excuses them from that. And we're not here just talking about one or two sets of department employees. We're talking about all employees of the city. I think it's very important that all employees of the city be held to the same standard of having to follow all city ordinances, not just state or federal law. It's also local laws and laws of the municipality. So I think it's very important that we have language in there that violations of this ordinance can be held accountable, because that's what we do. Everything from growing grass too tall to not putting your garbage cans out too early. Everyone's subject to all kinds of rules here. And I think it's important that all city employees be subject to the same rules with regard to ordinances. So I would strongly encourage, and I have some language for it, I strongly encourage strengthening that provision.
Good evening. My name is Christina Gallardo, and I live on University Street here in Ferndale. In addition to being a Ferndale resident, I'm also a therapist who works primarily with the folks that are being most impacted by what is currently happening as it relates to ICE. And I'm here today to encourage you all and to speak in favor of the passage of this resolution. The level of fear and just sheer terror that the folks that I'm working with are experiencing on a day-to-day level is something I feel like I can't even describe. And I work with a variety of types of people who are Latinx like me, who are born here, people who are here with, the appropriate documents and permissions to be here, and folks that maybe don't have those privileges. And I can tell you that the level of fear is the same, no matter what the circumstance. People are telling me that they're afraid that they're going to disappear, that they are going to just not come home one night and never be seen again, and that their family won't know what happened to them. You all have done a really amazing work on getting this ordinance started. I want to thank you so much, Rolanda, for this incredible work. And I just am asking you, to please, the passage of this ordinance is the bare minimum. And I hope that we can strengthen it by adding clear penalties for violating the ordinance. And I really, really hope that this is just the first of many steps that you all will take to protect the community and keep people safe. Thank you.
Hello, thank you, Council, for having this opportunity. I apologize, I just heard about this yesterday and I haven't read the ordinance, so maybe this is already in there. And also, first, let me say I wholeheartedly agree with everything everyone said. There's been clearly a lot of abuses going on in the enforcement of this, and I can't imagine that this is the same country that I grew up in. Having said that, I don't think it's outrageous to have some sort of an exception if there's a legitimate judicial warrant, not an administrative warrant, but a legitimate judicial warrant for, say, felonies, high misdemeanors, which would allow the police to turn them over to federal authorities, not necessarily immigration, but the appropriate federal authorities for those violations. And like I say, I'm fully in support of everything everyone said. We don't need this kind of crazy, they're picking people up at courthouses where they're trying to follow the immigration processes and they're going through the legal process. They're pulling people at random off the street. This is ridiculous. But there should be some exception for legitimate law enforcement purposes to be able to do their jobs, in my opinion. I hope that's not out of line. Thank you.
Still open for call to audience if anyone would like to speak on anything on or off the agenda. Okay. All right. With that being said, I'm closing call to audience at 7:57. Yeah. And we're moving on to the consent agenda. Item 7A, approval of the February 23rd, 2026 and February 26, 2026 meeting minutes. 7B, suspension and confirmation for the denial of FOIA request 26 through 51, 26 through 73, 26 through 74, 26 through 75, 26 through 76, 26-78, and 26-79, and denial of the requester's appeal. 7C, approval of water filtration testing at the DOT by Fishbeck in the estimated amount of $8,400. 7D, approval to renew the annual software agreement from ESRI GIS Services in the amount of $5,545. 7E, approval of professional services agreement with Plant Moran in the amount not to exceed $25,000. 7F, approval of purchase of traffic delineators from Traffic and Parking Control Company, LLC, in an amount not to exceed $10,000. 7G, approval of the ground storage tank inspection by Dixon Engineering or a competitive bid in the amount not to exceed $7,500. Approval of the TLS-4 automatic tank gauge upgrade from R.W. Mercer Company in the amount of $8,662. 7I, approval of the planned generator maintenance agreement with Cummins Sales and Services in the amount of $34,299.60. 7J, approval of the proposal for risk and resilience assessment and emergency response plan updates by Hubble, Roth, and Clark, Inc., in the amount of $15,700. 7K, approval of the special event permit for the 108th Memorial Day Parade to be held Monday, May 25th, 2026. And 7L, approval of bills and payrolls as submitted by Finance Director and subject to review by the Council Finance Committee.
Madam Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, with that, we're moving on to the regular agenda. The regular agenda, item 8A, is approval of the fiscal year 2027, fiscal year 2032 capital improvement plan. And may we have a motion prior to discussions?
I move we approve the FY 2027 through FY 2032 Ferndale Capital Improvement Plan as recommended by the Planning Commission and submitted by the Assistant City Manager.
Support.
All right, open it up for you, Assistant City Manager James Grzan.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Just a brief presentation for you tonight. Before we get in, the CIP is a 6-year project or 6-year plan for the capital projects that the city has identified as needs. As a note, these are projects that the city has identified, but oftentimes we still need to find the funding. And that's where this is kind of an early step in the budget process. This begins in the late summer, early fall, typically, as the CIP team will do a kickoff meeting and start looking at what went right the last year, what we wanted to improve. And then we move into the application period where departments will submit their projects, followed then by a scoring period and then ultimately document creation, which first goes to the Planning Commission and then ultimately here in front of you tonight. So quickly, what is a capital improvement project? Our policy has a couple key themes. Pretty much purchases over $10,000 or things with useful service life of 3 or more years, including vehicles, certain types of community plans, and the construction, expansion, or rehab of city facilities. We fund capital improvements through multiple methods. Some of the most common ways we fund the projects is through the city's different funds, whether it's general fund, road fund, water sewer funds. And then large-scale projects often require financing, which we typically will do through municipal bonds. Examples of that include when we constructed the DOT or as we went through the local road improvement program. The CIP, this is, as I was just talking, kind of early step in the budget process. This is a budget planning tool that we use to better understand current and future needs when it comes to capital. We're also required by the Planning Enabling Act, which is a state level legislation that gives us the authority to do planning activities, but we're required by that to create a program for public improvement. Also, by doing a 6-year program, we're able to meet one of the Michigan Redevelopment Ready Communities best practices. We've heard a little bit about that tonight already with the Planning Commission Chair. So overall, in the next 6 years, we've identified nearly $100 million in projects that fall into the capital improvement program, just over $99 million. Now, of course, we're not going to be able to fund all of these. We can only fund so many of the projects that we've identified. And just real quick as a note, because I think everybody up here shared the Planning Commission presentation. These numbers have been refined a little bit. Before the Planning Commission, there were a couple projects that were in there that weren't supposed to be. So the numbers shown at the Planning Commission were actually a little high. So that's why these numbers are a little bit lower. Just a data calculation error. But out of this $99 million, almost 40% are general fund related expenditures, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in another slide. The other fund that has a high percentage of related costs is the water and sewer fund, which comes in at 46% about of the total cost estimates. So like I said, general fund. For the next fiscal year itself, we've identified $8.2 million in general fund capital requests. But again, as we know, we're not going to be able to fund all of it. Do want to note that the CIP is a planning document. It's imperfect. for example, we still need to identify which direction we're going to end up going with our facilities. And there are a couple projects in the plan that are mutually exclusive. Only one of them is going to happen. This example, specifically, the public safety headquarters. We need to identify which direction we're going to end up going in the future to address whether we're going to go towards a rehab of current facilities or construction of new ones. Because currently both are in there, because we need to be able to plan both ways as we're going through this. Additionally, a couple other notes here. The $3 million in parks capital in the plan is for next year. Of that, $2 million are related to grants that are coming in, and 1.9 million of that in the plan is actually funded by different grants. And the big bulk here is the Martin Road facility, the restroom facility that we're in the current process of building that was just bid out. So some of this money is already, committed, but not all of it. Of the other $1 million, there's needs identified in park upgrades that a good chunk of them are likely not to be funded because general fund money is very tough to come by these days. So we're talking about general fund, we're talking about facilities. Over the next 6 years, 37.6% of our general fund capital needs are coming out of facility needs. This is actually an increase from last year where 15% was identified over the next couple of years. Some of that, of course, right, we've started really planning if we're not going to move forward with the public safety headquarters. These are the amounts of capital we're going to need to spend in order to make City Hall and the police station and Fire Station 1 or Fire Station 2 be usable. And this increase is also due to our facilities getting older, the deferred maintenance over the last year and beyond, and also shifting budget needs and priorities based on available funding over the last year. But again, the two biggest contributors to the high cost of facilities in the city's capital improvement plan are this building that we're currently in, the City Hall PD, and DPW, which both combine for over $10 million over the next 6 years. Next big one was water and sewer needs, and this is a huge chunk of this is tied to the lead service line replacement program. Over the next 6 years, we're looking at about $28 million for the lead service line replacement program. That works out to 62.5% roughly of all the water and sewer needs for the next year, or next 6 years. Water main projects continue to be at about 6.8 million, which for this year makes up about 23%. So as I was talking about the scoring process, because of course, right, we need to be able to identify priorities so that we can fund those. So the capital improvement team gets together, meets with the department heads, and utilizes a scoring matrix to come up with what we call the CIP score. The matrix looks at how the project is going to impact public safety, it's what kind of impact on the community is there going to be, is it going to impact any of the planned Ferndale goals, will it create support for our sustainability goals, our support for equity goals, does the project have any kind of cost recovery, and the service area. Does the project affect the region as a whole, only a specific neighborhood, or maybe the city as a whole? Some of this stuff sounds very familiar if you remember a lot of our priority-based budgeting conversations in the past. We tried to implement some of that, especially as we were moving away from using PBBI specifically. We still liked the principles of that, specifically when it came to coming up with scores for the capital improvement programs. Last couple of years, clearly you see that last year we've had a significant increase in capital expenses. A lot of this is due to, we had a lot of park projects going on in the last year. We also had some vehicles, some expensive vehicles coming through in the general fund. But that is the last couple of years, and I mean, we still as we said, identified about $100 million in needs for the next 6 years. And this is, deferred maintenance, right? We talk about this. I like to highlight this each year now when we do this, but deferred maintenance comes at a cost. It increases safety hazards. It increases our maintenance over time. Smaller problems, anybody with a car or a house knows, smaller problems that don't get addressed become much more expensive. And the catch-up can just really be devastating. Also, when systems go wrong, our effectiveness is reduced. A system that isn't properly working can increase the environmental impact and the carbon dioxide we spew into the atmosphere. Also, it can put us out of regulatory compliance, and we're stewards of public money. If we're not taking care of public assets, it can hurt our community trust. Some examples that I like to use: delaying repaving roads can result in damage to vehicles, creating safety hazards. It also can lead to the need to completely restruct the road instead of just proper maintenance because of a complete failure. Reduced inspection schedules on storm drains and sewers can lead to blockages, which can lead to water backups in homes and buildings and be very costly. And again, when building maintenance is deferred, the essential repairs are more costly. Just like to end with a big thanks to our 2025-26 CIP review team. Specifically call out former council member Greg Pollica for all his work that he put in over the years. And then also give the opportunity to welcome Mayor Pro Tem for the next year on the team. So happy to answer any questions anybody has. The full report and document was attached to the agenda, and assuming adoption, it'll be posted easily accessible on the website as well.
Thank you. Open it up to council for any questions or comments on this capital improvement plan. I know we had a good discussion on it regarding the priorities at our strategic planning, so opportunity for you all to speak about it now if you have any questions for clarity or et cetera.
So through the chair, I have one question because I can't seem to get the document to open on our agenda online. Trash cans, did waste bins make it in?
They are still in there.
Still are? Wonderful.
Yep, they got added last year and they have not been moved. The numbers have been refined a little bit, but
Okay.
yeah.
I think through the chair, it's very important to note that this is a high dollar plan, but to reiterate what you said, it doesn't mean that this is what we're going to try to do. We know we don't have the resources for it, so before we start seeing folks on the Facebook forum yelling about the city wasting all their money on stuff, this is not a budget. It's not what we're going to spend our money on. It's what we would spend our money on if we had the capital resources available. This would guide our investment strategy, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Through the chair, since we spent some time during the strategic planning session speaking about the Kula Community Center, which we do not own, and we are in the process of discussing with the schools. How does that change something like the CIP plan? Is that something, obviously, we're setting this into motion tonight, but if that is something that we acquire, it starts shifting priorities. What happens at that stage?
So typically what we would do when there's something big that comes up like that, we would end up really addressing it in the next year as we're going. Because honestly, as I said, we typically will start this late summer, early fall. So we were a little bit off course this year, and actually later, typically we've been adopting these in November, December. So what'll end up happening, provided if we happen to get ownership of that facility, then as we're going through doing facility condition assessments and figuring out exactly what it is we're going to want to do with it, that'll get added in the next year's plan.
seeing no other questions or comments. We did have a robust discussion on it this past Saturday, but we have a motion on the table and a second, so may we have a roll call?
Johnson?
Yes.
Sabatini?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Mikulski?
Yes.
Leaks May?
Yes. Thank you. All right. Item 8B. And approval of the temporary moratorium on immigration detention centers as sponsored by Councilmember Sabatini. We have, I would need, in order prior to discussion, a motion and it to be seconded before we go forward.
Move to approve the temporary moratorium on immigration detention centers as sponsored by Councilmember Sabatini.
Support.
I was going to say, it's okay for you to support it. All right. All right, so we will have discussion now, and will you be starting, City Manager?
Yeah, I'll say a couple brief comments. The premise of this ordinance is to establish a 6-month moratorium on immigration detention centers. The intent behind that being it affords us the opportunity to more formally vet if potential larger measures can be taken or changes can be made within our zoning ordinance to adopt restrictive language moving forward. Fairly straightforward. With that, the goal would be to refer to Planning Commission that this research be conducted and staff time and resources be dedicated to that effort.
Just through the chair, this is designed as a resolution rather than an ordinance, but it is designed to be temporary in nature while the city conducts further study with respect to potential additional regulatory efforts that it may wish to take.
So in other words, that if we move forward with this tonight, there is room to expand on it.
Through the chair, that's what the purpose is to pause and put essentially prevent any further action with respect to that issue occurring while it's studied within that 6-month period of time. As the proposed resolution states, to the extent that more time is needed before any future action is taken by this council, council can extend the moratorium by further resolution. But as it currently is set forth, it is a 6-month period of time.
Then I know that Councilmember Sabatini, this is something that you brought forth. If you have any comments or anything you'd like to share regarding this
Yes.
resolution?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through the chair. So I think this is about being proactive, as was mentioned, rather than reactive. And I think in many ways it works alongside Councilmember Kelly's ordinance. And so I appreciate your efforts and your inspiration. I appreciate the rest of council collaborating and the city staff for their input on this, and the community as well. So I think this is about being clear about how we want to use our city resources and ensuring that our policies reflect the values of the community. So again, I think this is a beginning. It signifies where we're going. Yeah, I appreciate my fellow council members' consideration.
Any other comments?
So through the chair, are we confident that 6 months is enough time? I know that we can extend it, but would it make sense to just proactively extend it now to 12 months to give us further time?
Through the chair, moratorium in general, this is a temporary moratorium, and it's allowing for study by the Planning Commission with respect to recommendations on potential amendments to the city's ordinances, including the zoning ordinances. 6 months has been deemed by the courts to be permissive, but it is supposed to be of short duration while the study is taking place.
Got it. Okay.
To that end, if we were nearly there, it would make sense, and we'd have a legally defensible position to extend it at the time that we had conducted research.
And through the chair, follow-up question. When should we expect to have this in the hands of the Planning Commission, which I am also on?
The direction, presuming it is passed tonight, is to go to Planning Commission with a direction at their next meeting, and then there'll likely be subsequent follow-up conversation, but just introduced at least at the next meeting.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Through the chair, just thank you, Councilmember Sabatini. Good work. I'm really proud of this and appreciate the work you put into it.
Through the chair, likewise. I'm really happy to have you work on this and bring this forward.
We have a motion and it's been seconded. May we have a roll call?
Kelly,
Yes.
Sabatini,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Mikulski,
Yes.
Leaks May.
Yes. Congratulations, Councilmember Sabatini, your first resolution on the books. All right, so now we are moving on to item 8C, and we will need, give me 1 second here. This is the first reading. The first reading of the Immigration Enforcement Ordinance as sponsored by Councilmember Kelly. We'll need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve the first reading of the Immigration Enforcement Ordinance and move to second reading at the March 23rd, 2026 regular City Council meeting.
Support.
All right, and will you be
I can
starting it off
sure.
first again?
Just a very high-level overview. The ordinance provides the framework for restricting limits on the use of city resources for the purposes of immigration enforcement. Specifically, it defines what constitutes city resources, prohibits the city from entering into a 287G agreement, restricts the use of any city resources absent a judicial warrant or exigent circumstances, prohibits the collection of immigration status information to the extent legally permissible, and establishes an annual reporting interval. Obviously, and this comment came up numerous times during public comment, the nature of the ordinance does exclusively pertain to actions taken by staff, and 83% of the city workforce is union, so it does also acknowledge the legal rights afforded under collective bargaining to those staff in its enforcement section. This is the first reading of the ordinance, so tonight's actions to simply review the draft, certainly provide any feedback or questions you have, and then proceed to the second reading and subsequent adoption on March 23rd.
Councilmember Kelly, this was your baby, so do you have comments or you would like to share things about this ordinance?
Sure. First, I want to thank all the residents that came out tonight to speak on it. The reason I started this conversation was because I care deeply about making sure everyone in our community feels safe and protected. And I want to acknowledge some of the residents here tonight that helped me start this resolution. And I know, and to the ones that spoke tonight, I hear you and I share many of the same concerns. I wanted this ordinance to be as strong as possible. Where we started isn't exactly where we ended, but after reviewing through the ordinance committee, the city manager, our attorney, this version was explained as legally defensible and something the city can confidently implement. And for me, it was important to get something in place. So I thought this was a really good starting point, and I'm proud of the work we've done so far, and I hope that, you know, it can grow from here.
And I just also would like to thank not only the council members who have brought forth the resolutions and ordinances, but the community members who have reached out and sent their emails in support or with suggestions regarding the ordinance as well. So I want to acknowledge you as well. Any other comments regarding the first reading?
Through the chair. It's just been a tremendous amount of work from you, and I'm really proud of you, and I'm really happy that you brought this forward, and I'm happy to support it.
Through the chair. Ditto. No, you've been, Councilmember Kelly, you've been very thoughtful about the kind of community we want to be. You always have been, and it's very inspiring. Thank you for your hard work.
We have a first and a second regarding the first, regarding the first reading, and may we have a roll call?
Sabatini,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mikulski.
Yes.
Leaks May.
We have M's, okay?
Right.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right. Good work all around. All right, so now we're now at call to council, where I will defer to the city manager for department head updates.
Parks?
Hi, everybody. It's the first time I'm talking at city council, so it feels strange. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting things happening for Parks and Rec. One of the really exciting things, we have our Eggstravaganza happening on Saturday, March 28th, where we'll have some Easter egg hunts at 3 different parks. So the first one's going to be Wilson Park off of Hilton at 1 o'clock, and that's for ages 1 through 4, so the youngins. And then we have Geary Park at 1:30, where like the skate park's at. That's ages 1 through 11. And then we're going to end at Martin Road Park at 2 p.m. for ages 1 through 11. So at Martin Road Park is going to be where we're going to have pictures with the Easter Bunny and just having a whole bunch of fun there with the huge Easter egg hunt. And we have way more eggs this time, so a lot of gifts. Also, thanks to the Ferndale Elks Lodge for their support. And if anyone needs any more information, they can call us at 248-544-6767. And then next, going on to sports, registration is now open for youth baseball and youth softball. The leagues are for ages 4 through 14, and the 14U league is a travel league. Then also registration continues for youth soccer. So those leagues are for ages 3 through 13. And the registration is open for the spring adult softball. So we have men's only and co-ed leagues available for that. And there also is a free agency registration too, if anyone's interested in that. Next, we're going on to the seniors, which is my expertise and all those things. So I know it's kind of last minute, but we are going to the MGM Grand Casino tomorrow. There's still spots available. It's only $4 round trip to take the bus, and you can maybe win, more than double that back, maybe. So we're going to meet at Incubizo at 1938 Burdett at 11 a.m. The next thing is we do have a Ferndale Senior Group meeting this Wednesday, March 11th at 11 a.m. at the Hazel Park Community Center. So that's at 620 West Woodward Heights. Also, something very, very special that's happening is this Thursday, our storytelling group is having our 2-year anniversary. So I wanted to formally invite you as well if you'd like to come back. So that'll be this Thursday, March 12th at 1:30 at Incubizo. It's a great time. It's been growing and growing. We're going to have some special guests there and have some special goodies and snacks and sparkling cider and all the great things. And then we have chair yoga this Friday, the 13th at 10:30 at the Withington Apartments at 415 Withington Street. So that's $20 per session, like for the whole 2 months, or $8 for drop-in. And we also have our St. Patrick's Day buffet trip. The registration ends next Monday, the 16th at 11 a.m. And altogether it's $28.95 for that's food and the round trip bus included for that as well. Lastly, we still have spots open for the Mackinac Island trip. So that's happening Tuesday, May 12th through Friday, May 15th. Final payment is due April 3rd, so that's coming up very, very soon. You can just talk to me. Only one person in the hotel needs to be 50. Everyone else can be any age that they desire to be. So that's that. And if they want to get any more information about senior things, they can go to tinyurl.com/Ferndale Seniors. Or there's newsletters right up by the front door. I have a whole stack of them there. Or anyone could just call me directly at 248-544-6767, extension 503. So yeah. That's it.
DPW?
Just have one announcement. Yard waste is returning. This year, we're going to do it 2 weeks early, starting March 23rd. That's curbside. It's important to get the leaves before they get into the catch basins, which is why we're doing it a couple weeks early. We want to give residents a little bit extra time. Hopefully, the weather warms up 2 weeks from now. It would have been great to do it this weekend, but it's supposed to get a little bit colder next weekend, so we're hoping it'll stay nice on the 23rd. Brown bags, marked cans, stickers can be picked up at DPW and City Hall. Again, 40-pound, well, not again, but 40 pounds max, grass, leaves, twigs, sticks, wood, and straw. And that's it.
Through the chair, I think I asked you already, but I've already forgotten the answer. What about street sweeping to get some of the leaves that were ground up over time?
We started early because we had the temperate weather today. The street sweeper will be out and has been out since, I think, Wednesday of last week. They're going to be out all this week. Because of the way the season ended, it's going to take a lot more time to do that first sweep. Picking up all those leaves just means a lot of extra dumps, so it just takes a lot longer to get to the entire city, and we're working on it. We spent a couple days last week with all the rain cleaning catch basins and trying to take care of those as well. So it'll be a struggle, but we'll get to it.
Do you think it's like a 2-week, 3-week struggle, or I'm just thinking about the timeline?
Potentially 2 weeks, but I wouldn't really count right now. Right now is kind of targeted towards the worst areas. It's going to get cold, then it's going to warm up, and then it won't get cold again, and that's the point where the consistent citywide street sweeping will start. I assume as long as we can continue to take little chunks out of it, 2 weeks, and we should have the whole city done. Yep. That's it. I'll get it.
Fire?
All right, good evening. I actually have a list of stuff tonight. So I will start with Memorial Day Parade, just because the rest kind of tie in together. Just a reminder for everybody, Memorial Day Parade, the fire department does kind of have a little mini open house, so when you finish the parade, when you come over where the ceremony is going to be, stop in, we'll have some fun activities at the firehouse, invite you in with your family, and so come on down and see us. We will also be, because, you know, we love being green here in Ferndale, and good for the environment, I have a bunch of Ferndale Fire Department t-shirts that my firefighters can't wear because they changed their uniforms when I came in as chief. And they've been plaguing me. I said, I don't want to throw these in the landfill. So we are actually going to throw them to people during the parade this year. So people will get free Ferndale Fire Department I Love You t-shirts from us this year. So be along the parade route. We got a bunch we're going to throw out there. So just know I didn't waste city dollars on them. I just reuse, recycle, upcycle, all that good jazz because that's what we love to do. All right. So also we are partnered. We have some cool stuff going on with Oakland County. One of the things I want to highlight is we are partnering with them. They're looking for people to host Skywarn spotter trainings in Oakland County, and we agreed to host one. So we will be hosting it right here March 31st in council chambers from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. It is free for anybody to come. Pre-registration is encouraged just so we can kind of plan for how many people are coming, but if you decide the day of you want to come, you can just show up. Is good for all ages. 10 and up will get the most out of it. But come on out, have fun, and learn how to kind of do that. It's National Weather Service. You can register and get the link. I'll send it to comms too. They can share it out. And then along those same things, we're getting to the time of year where severe weather is kind of coming up. I know we just had the tornado hit southwest Michigan, and there's some chatter and people in different communities around Michigan wondering kind of about different alerting systems, what's going on. Here in Oakland County, our sirens are operated by Oakland County's Emergency Operations Center, also called the EOC. What may confuse some people is when there's tornado warnings anywhere in the county, it might be northern Oakland County and our sirens go off down here in southern Oakland County. And you might hear the tornado sirens going off and you're like, why? It looks beautiful outside. The reason they do that, and they've opted to do that, is if there's a threat anywhere in Oakland County, they choose to alert the entire county because we know conditions can change very quickly, and we'd rather make people aware and give them a heads up than wait till it's, more imminent. So that is why sometimes if your siren goes off and you don't notice anything, just tune in somewhere in the county or in the area around us, something is going on, and they just want to give you as much advance notice and heads up as possible. But sirens, as great as they are, do have limitations. If we're outside, they're phenomenal, so you can hear them, get everybody noticed. If you're inside, deep inside a building, in your house, you may not hear it as well. So Oakland County also uses a text alert system. If you enroll in that, and they pay for it for countywide, you enroll in that, you can get emergency alerts from Oakland County for various reasons. To expand on that, Oakland County reached out and said, hey, we are looking for a couple pilot communities where we can kind of expand the amount of people we can reach through this additional alerting platform. So Ferndale is currently in process of working with Oakland County to become one of the pilot communities to kind of spearhead this. They're looking, I think, for 3. So we wanted to be front runners on this and bring a higher level of service to our community. So we will be increasing, and we'll turn some things on internally also where we can utilize that system for us. So if I have a large incident or something going on, I can contact our comms department and they can push something out through the text system to notify our community that, hey, we got this going on, stay away from this area. So we do have ability to utilize it once we become a pilot city. So great benefit to us, and it's paid for by the county currently, and they just, so it's something you can subscribe for to be a part of, and no cost to you. So we are working on that, so a lot of great things, and just really trying to see how can we keep our community safe, have fun, get information out there, and let people know what's going on. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, otherwise that's all I got.
Yeah, through the chair. Is there somewhere that, thank you, that's great, that was great info. Is there somewhere where the community can go to learn more about the pilot program? And where would we go to sign up or opt into the text alert system?
Okay, so through Oakland County's website, their EOC, and I can look up try to get the link and forward it to Counselor through our comms so she can try to push it out. And then as far as the pilot program, really what it is taking what Oakland County is currently doing right now and just bringing it a little deeper into the communities, because they realize a lot of the residents aren't participating, some of the communities aren't as connected in it, so they're not reaching people as much as possible. The other benefit the text program provides is if somebody's traveling through a community, the geocaching will catch that. So if I'm visiting, I'm coming through somewhere, and there's a notification that needs to happen there, kind of like the Amber Alert we have with the little boy in Madison Heights, it's going to hit my phone because I'm in that area. So it increases a lot of things we can do there. So if the police department, again, needs to get an important message out, fire, Oakland County weather. And so it's really just an expansion of a system that already exists. That if you subscribe, it's really going to look the same exact thing. It's just bringing it down in local communities to give us kind of a hand in the pot to be able to utilize the system without necessarily going through them, if that helps.
It does, yes, thank you, Chief.
That's all.
All right. Then I'm now going on to call to council, and I'm going to my right with Councilmember Kelly.
I just want to give a big shout out to Summer with the DDA for a fabulous job on the Art March opening celebration. It was at 215 West. It was one of the coolest events I've been to. It was really neat. It was very interactive. They had live music. I think every restaurant in town donated food. Thank you to them. It was really great, and Ferndale Arts and Beautification helped out with that, so thank you to them. There's events all month long for Art March. Tomorrow, there's a Pictionary event at Sidecar Slider Bar from 6 to 8. There is a Still Building Pride event at Affirmations from 2 to 4 on March 14th, followed by another event, Pause and Print, at Poodles and Company from 4 to 7. So go to downtown Ferndale, artmarch.com, and look at all the events that they have on. There's a lot of interactive things for everyone to enjoy.
Mayor Pro Tem Mikulski?
I have a couple things tonight. I told myself that I feel like our ordinance committee sometimes is a black hole where we do work and everybody finds out about it kind of after the fact. So this is my attempt at bringing some light onto what we're working on. We are going to be convening the ordinance committee this Friday. Fingers crossed. I think my time will actually work during the day now. Couple things that we are working on, if I can pull it up. We have a couple things in the queue. We have a fats, oils, and greases ordinance. I'm hoping that we might have some of the CED comments on the vacant structure ordinance, which was rolled out previously, and we've experienced a little bit of challenges with. The tree ordinance is still in queue and is still being worked on, following some feedback from the Environmental Sustainability Committee. We do have the responsible contractor policy/ordinance. I'm not sure which way that's going to go. As well as I just recently started working on an ordinance alongside Mayor Pro Tem Alyssa Sullivan over in Hazel Park on a balloon release prohibition ordinance because of the impact on the environment. Couple other things that are also items that I'm working on. I am working on a resolution, a 6-month moratorium. It was 12 months, but following your feedback, Dan Christ, I am changing that on AI data centers being located in Ferndale, as well as a resolution supporting the repeal of Michigan Public Act 389 of 2016 and affirming local authority to advance waste diversion goals, which essentially was the act at the state level that prevented us from banning the use of like plastic bags. So this is something that was a point of public discussion quite some time ago, probably around 2016, and has recently come back into public discussion. Detroit passed one supporting the repeal of that public act, as well as Royal Oak, so I would like us to follow in their footsteps. So those are some of the items that I'm working on, and again, any council members that want to work together on this, please reach out.
Councilmember Sabatini?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to talk first about something that you brought up earlier, the strategic planning session that we had I believe it was last Saturday. I thought it was incredibly productive and set an optimistic and collaborative tone for the year. I left feeling very encouraged and inspired, so really enjoyed working with you all on that, as well as the city staff. I thought it was great. Thank you. The next item is package drones. I've heard from a lot of residents concerned about these and just starting to think about what, if anything, Ferndale can do about those. So we've heard you. Thank you for bringing it up. I think in the meantime, my advice would be to vote or advocate with your wallets. That's one thing that we can all do immediately. So if you see them in the air or you hear them, they're quite loud. Be careful. I think we've all seen videos of how very much they're in the beta stage. Just thank you to the residents for bringing this stuff to our attention. It's much appreciated. I think that's it for me for today.
Councilmember Johnson?
Nothing for me this evening.
All right. So, a couple of things that I've heard tonight have already been spoken of, but I do want to just add some more context to the musical coming to the high school, which is always great. I hope you can go out and attend it. You heard the dates, but you didn't hear how much it costs. So general admission is $15, students and seniors $10, youth $5. And just to plan for, planning purposes is about 120 minutes, so about 2 hours. Please come out and support these students. They work really hard, and it's always a fabulous show. And also, I just want to again thank everyone, the ordinance committee, for your help on the ordinances. Councilmember Kelly on your initiative taking on that ordinance, and Councilmember Sabatini on your resolution regarding the moratorium, as well as I also want to share that I don't know if any other council members are going, but the MML Capital Conference is starting as of tomorrow, where it's an opportunity for council members to meet with other council members across the state to kind of talk about what they're doing in their communities, We'll hear what they're doing in terms of any type of immigration, any type of city ordinances, and it's just always a wonderful time. So I hope to come back with a lot of information. If any of the council members are joining, I hope you get a lot of the get a lot out of the opportunity as well. Happy International Women's Month. We have some great women that work for the city, women on council, great role models and women mentors in this community. So we salute you, and women get things done. So with that being said, this meeting's adjourned at 8:45.